Quiney away over the leg side. That's a huge hit.
The Stars have done it. Momentum is a powerful force in cricket.
All right, everyone, welcome back to With the Stars, proudly brought to you by Dodo, as always. And as always, with me, my name's Bobby Quiney, for starters. I hope you know that. Alongside me, we've got Benny Gibson, the media manager, and he's done a great job so far of staying out of the camera, which is great. He's going to do the same thing again. Benny, welcome.
Thanks, Bobby. 2 cameras definitely not directed at me, which is great. Haven't spoken for a while, and there's been a bit of cricket between now and the Big Bash, and we've had some great performances. Maxi just got 70 off 30 odd the other night.
Get him in the final.
Stoyne 62 not out off 22 balls. Annabelle Sutherland made a ton, the 4th ton for her Test career. Unbelievable stuff going on all around the world.
Stars are going beautifully, aren't they? I'll tell you someone else who's going beautifully. We are so lucky to have a man who has been everywhere. Everyone in Australia would know who this man is. He's a podcast host. He's hosts TV shows. He's used to be a journalist. We all know him and love him. One of the greatest men alive. Welcome to the podcast, Eddie McGuire.
I've never been introduced as I host a podcast before, but there we go.
There's another one.
There's a first, but good on you, Bobby. Good to see you, Ben.
Now, I want to ask you a question straight up. Was that introduction suffice?
Oh, well, you could have gone a bit longer, but, you left out about 15 Logies and Order of Australia. And
love it.
President of the Collingwood Football Club for 23 years. But no, you didn't mention what I actually am here for.
Well, correct, but I wanted to pump you up before we go back in time 15 years ago.
We didn't do much of a job. It was the worst intro I've ever heard.
And there you go. Even when I practiced this intro, it still didn't work because I'll take you back to a time when I wasn't playing as many games as I'd like. And so all of a sudden, Clint Cooper had suggested that maybe it could be a good opportunity for me to host some of the hospitality functions. And I thought, Benny, this is great. Great option to do some stuff outside cricket. You know, cricket could finish at any moment. And so I got up there. My job, I welcomed everyone. And the first proceeding as Ed's role with the Stars was the president of the Melbourne Stars. And I said, welcome everyone to the function, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to welcome up the president of the Melbourne Stars, Eddie McGuire. So Eddie comes up. And he goes, Bobby, that was shithouse. Can you do it again? Walk back down. And I'm like, oh. And I don't think I did a better job. I just yelled at it. I just did it louder. So
it was so funny. He was wound up like a top. You could imagine what was going on. But we had a lot of fun in those days.
It was awesome.
Good fun.
And so, I mean, one of the things that I had down here that I didn't say, mate, and obviously we're talking to you as a former president of the Melbourne Stars, is your generosity. And as much as as tongue in cheek or a bit of a wind up because I did a really bad job at introducing him, was that I'd gone to Ed in the first place and said, listen, I'm working on a bit of some media stuff. And I mean, maybe there's a big gap between you and me, but I love some help, some advice. And organically, it came through. Even
it didn't listen to anything I said as usual.
It hasn't worked.
But no, it was good. It was good fun. But in those days, what we were trying to do at the Stars, and particularly, it's a summer. It was summer. It was fun, and we didn't want it to be the introduction of here comes the president. It was let's have some fun. Let's get in here. Let's have a bit of fun, and particularly because of your stature as one of our champions of the game, it was just good. It was back and forth. I remember somebody who did that to me very early on in my career was Keith Stackpole.
Yeah, okay.
And it was fun, and I was taken aback as you were. But I remember after that, I thought, okay, it's important to get the intro right. But at the same time, the tone of the situation, because what it did was the room laughed, everyone had a joke, you got back up, I came up, said whatever I was going to say, and everyone had something to go home with and have a bit of fun. It's about entertainment. It's about just for a moment in time making people feel good about themselves and where they are and setting the sort of tone for the night. So, I think sometimes we can get a bit carried away, particularly when we're involved. So you're a player, I'm the president of the club, we want to win, big crowd, there's a million things that go on when you're the president of an organisation. Can the people get in? Are they selling the merchandise? Is the room right? Are the players right? What's going on? Are the trains on strike? Are they killing themselves in the cheer squad? Whatever the situation is, have they got the right flamethrower up and not burning half the stand down? All those sorts of things you're watching and you're keeping an eye on. But everyone else is there for a bit of fun. And particularly with the Big Bash, there was a lot of people who had never been to a cricket match.
Yep.
So we were getting a lot of people for the first time, so we wanted to make it a little bit more relaxed.
Well, we're about to get there because before we get there, and you've talked about a million things going on from a Stars perspective, and I feel like when everyone from the outside looks in and sees Eddie McGuire, they just assume that there's a million things going on with you. What are you up to right now?
Oh, well,
obviously you're a podcast host.
I've got a million things going on. I've got some meetings today. There's an interesting message there, actually, just come in. Well, I have a production business, Jam TV, which does over 500 outside broadcasts a year. We broadcast everything from basically all the football other than the AFL.
Yep.
We do all the Channel 9 shows, some of the Channel 7 shows. We do documentaries. We do the NBL, the A-League. We're involved with V8 supercars and various projects. And
Unreal.
we're actually one for the cricketers. We're doing a fantastic documentary on the Sesquicentennial Test for next year.
March.
I'm on the organising committee of the Sesquicentennial. I'm on the organising committee of the NFL coming up in September. I'm on the board of Visit Victoria, so there's a bit going on. Yeah.
How many committees are you on?
No, they're just those ones. I
Just those
keep
ones?
it, yeah, volunteer committees.
Do you think
I'm a
you might have-
trustee of the MCG, so that's there as well.
How many
But it's-
committees and boards do you reckon you've been on over your time?
Plenty, but again, I tend to like to do ones where I'm
Fully invested.
volunteering as well.
Yeah.
And areas that actually make sense. So Collingwood to me was as much about being involved in a charity as it was about anything else. But that's my passion. That's what I love. That's what gave me the opportunity as a first generation Australian coming here. We couldn't afford to go on any holidays. We lived out in Broady, and Dad came from Scotland, Mum came from Ireland. But what we did every weekend is we went to the footy.
Yeah.
We went to the cricket. I remember going to watch Gillette Cup games, and when Richie Robinson was the captain of Victoria, Mick Malone beat us at the MCG one day, 75,000 for a one-dayer, when one-days were just starting.
Who would have thought?
That was my dream. I remember getting on the train to go to a World Series cricket match out at Waverley, and it started to rain as we pulled up at Kooyong Station. Me and my mate from Broady, we looked out and go, is that the Australian Open? And we jumped off the train and
Just change of plans.
change our plans. It worked out well because it did. The cricket got washed out. We went to the to the tennis, and might have jumped the fence and got in. But anyway, we were there. So that was my life. And of course, weekends was the footy. But for me, I started writing for district cricket when I was 13. I
remember that, yeah.
And I was just looking outside down in the foyer here at headquarters at Cricket Victoria, and all the old names from the late 70s and early 80s, and Dasher Hibbert and all these guys who were there, and then as a young reporter at Channel 10, I'd cover the Shield cricket.
Yep.
So you watched a ton of cricket.
I think it's easy to see your passion for cricket and
100%.
why you got involved with the Stars. But how did that actually come up? Because the Big Bash was a whole new invention.
Yeah, well, they decided to go down the Big Bash, again going back to when I was CEO. In those days, they had one 2020 game, and it rated through the roof. I'm saying, come on, let's do a few more. And they were reluctant to do it, Cricket Australia. Anyway, so the Big Bash concept came up, and they came to see me and said, would you be involved? How would you like to do this? And I said...
Who's that? When you say they, Cricket Australia?
It was Cricket Australia,
Yeah,
it was James Sutherland and a few of the guys. I came in and said to them, I would only be involved if we were able to have it as a community-based team. And so I actually said to them, why don't we just call it Collingwood? And I'll merge them into Collingwood, and we'll have that Collingwood tradition. There'll be no worries about having rivals down at whatever you want to call the other mob.
Pretty
because
organically.
that'll happen. And we were flying. The Pies were going well at that stage as well. MCG, train across the road at what was the Lexus Centre in those days. I'm the president of both. Shared services. It made a lot of sense.
Yep.
Anyway, they went and had to think about that, and they came back, no, we don't want to get too close to the AFL. I said, well, it's going to be if I'm involved. But anyway, so no, they went, so Melbourne Stars said, yep, no problem at all. However, I still want this to be, I want the profits of this club to go into grassroots cricket, and I want to see the pipeline. And I said, what I want to do is, we were landing Collingwood membership caps for a couple of cents out of China or wherever we got them from. So the membership hats were just becoming a real thing. And I said, what I want to do is I want to give every kid a green Stars cap on every beach, every junior cricket team, walking down the street. All I want to see is green caps everywhere. Yeah. Unfortunately, Cricket Australia had already done a merchandise deal with an American mob. Remember those bowl bowl caps they were
the
trying to sell.
baseball type,
Yeah, and so sadly that idea fell away a little bit. But my whole consciousness at that stage was about juniors. I had 2 boys playing junior cricket.
Yep.
My 2 boys were only little.
10 and 12 or something.
Yeah,
I think
and they
at
were
the
mad
time,
cricketers.
Yeah.
They absolutely love cricket. So I had a bit of a renewed love of cricket, going every Friday night to watch and Saturday morning to watch the boys play. So that was the idea of it. And the other thing that I loved about it was cricket. I've always felt is just too niche. There's one wicket keeper who's usually there for 7 years, and no one else gets a game in the Australian team. 4 bowlers, an all-rounder, 4 or 5 batsmen, whatever it is, whatever the shape is. And I thought this is a really great way. I've always believed that the reason why AFL football is so big is because there's 750 local blokes playing, and now women.
Yep.
So your local hero everyone can remember every bloke who's played at their local footy club who went on to play senior football. Well, certainly I can.
Yep.
And I just thought the opportunity, because I knew all these great guys, like the Jamie Siddons, and even Buff Lehman to a degree, but people who just missed,
Yep.
Over the years, and we saw blokes come into the Australian team when World Series cricket happened who would never have got a go. And one of my ideas that I put to cricket, and look, I throw up ideas because that's what I do. Don't have to take them on, but I wanted to actually change the Sheffield Shield into the teams of the 2020 Big Bash,
Yep.
so that it had 2 teams in Melbourne, okay, and then you could have a State of Origin series for the Big V.
You saying that 15 years ago versus saying it now. 15 years ago, I think people, because they're scared of change, right?
Yeah, were they ever?
We'll just go, no.
Yeah.
When now if you proposed it today, and especially what's going on, it becomes more realistic, doesn't it?
But it should have then. It would have, because it would have been 15.
Is it too late though?
No, it's never too late. It's just we could have done it 15 years ago. I mean, what I wanted for the Melbourne Stars. So when I got in, we warmed into it, and people, you'll probably ask me, we haven't won a flag. Well, we got ripped off about 3 or 4 times. No, seriously, the rule changes that Cricket Australia allowed. That time when Kawaja was able to play and half our team got dragged out on the grand final. I couldn't believe that they let this happen. But
then there was another one where we finished top, we were undefeated all year, and then we lost 1 game the first final, and then you're out, and they changed the system again after that.
Yeah, all that. But anyway, we didn't win. So
I've forgotten about that, but
bad luck. Yeah, well, I have it. A few others as well along the journey. But anyway, but even with that, so what I wanted to do was, so I was president, but I sort of felt as if we were the ownership. John Wiley, myself, David Evans, and the other people involved in the board, and we had representatives of Cricket Victoria and things who were wonderful people. So they were keeping an eye on where we're going. But what I wanted to do, which again was probably ahead of its time, I wanted the Melbourne Stars to be an international team. So I actually spoke with Lords about us playing at Lords and playing in county cricket, playing in their one days and their 2020s, and even this was before the 100 came up.
I wish I listened to you. That would have been a great trip.
And what I wanted was, I wanted us to have a troupe of Victorian players who were able to play cricket 12 months of the year with our doctors, our coaches, TV rights coming back to Australia. So, imagine on a Wednesday night in middle of winter, and you can turn on Foxtel or Channel 7 or Channel 9 or Channel 10, whoever had it, and watch the Stars playing Somerset. And in a 2020, and I'd spoken to the guys at Lords, and they were looking to sell that. The block of land next to.
Yep.
They actually wanted to, had the deal done, and then I think the council stopped them. And I said, "Don't sell any land in London, my God! Don't do that." I said, "What you need is more content."
Yeah.
Because they came out. We had the conversation sitting, where I used to sit at the MCG, in that back row.
Yep.
And the then chair of, I think it was the chair or the CEO of Lords was with me, and he thought it was a great idea. So I suddenly went, right, okay. Anyway, it stopped. So they were the things that, in my mind, I just thought the momentum. So again, you can talk about have we won a flag. That wasn't necessarily my job. My job was to fill the MCG.
Yep.
And I remember speaking to Stephen Goff, who was the head of the MCC in those days. And Goff, he said, if you can get 25,000 in here, we'll be happy. 30,000.
We did it regularly.
Basically, mate, the day when 85,000 turned up.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to Kevin Peterson, and Warnie rang me and said, we've got to get KP. We can get Kevin Peterson, and because Warnie was finishing up. And I said, oh, yeah. He said, there's a few into him. So I spoke to KP and said, listen, how do you feel? I said, shut your eyes for a moment and tell me what it would feel for you to walk out onto the MCG and have 80,000 people cheering you.
instead of booing.
Yeah, cheering you. I said, never happened. I said, yes, it will. Yes, it will. I said, yes, it will. I said, you will walk out onto the MCG. I said, you'll win the game for us and you'll walk off a hero. And anyway, I came back a couple of days later and said, oh, you've got me. It got inside his head. And then he was unbelievable because all the stuff, saving the rhinos and the way he played and everything about him. Yeah, KP was just fantastic. And talk about, a guy, sometimes you get the internationals, they come in and they, come here for a holiday. No, he threw himself right in. And then we had Will Smith turning up and all the celebrities. And
there's a photo of you and Will Smith on the wall in the office downstairs.
Is there? Yeah, well, that was a big night. And he was great for us as well. But we got all these guys going because we had the international flavour and we were the big team. We were the Stars.
So can I get you while you're talking about that? Yeah. So was it from the start, and I don't know whether you were in cahoots with the Renegades to make this happen at the start, whether there was like a little bit of a forced rivalry, but also the discussion about, and I don't know whether it was just because of your vision, we want to get the biggest and best name.
No, we didn't worry about anyone else. We did our own thing. And I knew it was going to happen anyway because James Brayshaw was down at the Renegades.
Yep.
So,
And Dunstall was there for a bit
North
as well,
Melbourne Collingwood, then Dunstall, who was great, is one of the... Jason was one of the great sporting administrators. He rebuilt Hawthorn, did a great job with the Renegades, knocked us off in that final, which I don't know how we lost that still. But anyway, the point there was that they were going to do their own thing.
Yep.
Okay, so I didn't worry about them. And it was always, and Cricket Victoria were trying to get it up. It didn't matter.
Yep.
When I sort of said to them, you sure that maybe I should be the president of the team, or maybe the Stars need to be the western northern suburbs because of my background as a Broadmeadows guy.
Yeah.
And James a bit more, the West Australian, South Australian
in the nice
cricket
areas.
royalty.
Yeah, correct.
His father
Brighton
Sticks
for a little bit.
His father Sticks was, part of the royalty of Western
Funny
Australia.
bloke, Sticks.
Great bloke. I mean, an amazing family.
Yep.
So it was always going to work whichever way it fell. Anyway, but it was the MCG was for me, and right, let's get stuck into it. And again, it was a bit of boys' own annual stuff. Suddenly I can pick my cricket team. So I go, right, first bloke I'm going to get Ian Chappell.
Yes, I remember that, Chairman of Selectors.
Chairman of Selectors, because all I ever read all my life, and every time I spoke to Ian Chappell, was how the administrators and the selectors are all dickheads. So I thought, right, okay, in you come.
Had you had Warney on that stage?
You
already got Warney.
Yeah,
because Warney's close with Chappelli as well,
exactly.
isn't he?
That's how it all worked.
Yep.
I mean, there was one bloke I had to get.
Yeah.
As soon as I got this, I could get Warney. And everyone said, no, I was too old. I said,
so
turn it up. So I can't remember how it was. Anyway, I got Warney on board.
So when you and Warney are sitting down,
yeah,
whether it be over a coffee, a Red Bull vodka, no doubt a dart.
Yeah.
Was there a list of players?
He was having a dart.
He was 100%. You were just passive smoking.
Glass red. Yeah.
Was there a list of players that you've gone, we're targeting?
Yeah.
And how many of them did you get versus?
Look, I think those guys got into that, and Clint Cooper did a great job, and all the other guys.
But you had a semi-wish list, didn't you?
No, we were all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I did was go get the people who could make the right calls.
Yep.
So Ian Chappell, Shane Warne, away we go. And then Warney picked the team. It was like that. But I also went and got Viv Richards.
Oh, yeah, yep.
So because what I wanted was international players, but also the local guys to come and not just play 2020 and a bit of hit and giggle, but to walk into the room and see Ian Chappell, Shane Warne, Vivian Richards. I'm the president and I'm coming in, come on, we're here to win and kill and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
A chest full of sponsors and a crowd that they've never played in their life. I wanted people to come to the Melbourne Stars and experience something that no one would ever have. And what I wanted to keep was that truncated season so that the international players would come here. And one of the selling points I said to Righty and all the international guys is come here, I'll give you the best physio, the best medical facility. So if you've got a bit of a niggle, come down, we'll look after you, train you. It's 2020. We've got the clubhouse at Crown and then down at the Emerson and places like that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be great, and it's going to be big time, and you can make a name for yourself.
Yep.
And I don't know any sports person alive who gets the opportunity to walk onto a packed MCG who thinks, oh, no, I think I might do something else. And, KP says for his storied career, that was one of his greatest ever memories, was walking out and walking off getting a standing ovation.
So Benny, like one of the queries that came about without sort of lagging too much about like, you know, we didn't have the on-field success that we probably deserved at that time was that.
Well, they cheated us out of it. That's why. It was shocking.
Like a lot of us have obviously been around like high-profile cricketers, right? But then you see Eddie come in the room as your president, but also Eddie being like, wow, like Eddie. But then in the change rooms, there's a normalisation. And then you get, you know, Viv come in the change room and I'm like, oh, like this bloke is next level. But you sit on the bus and next thing you know, he's telling cricket stories. He's asking about you. He's got this most amazing laugh. Like any West Indian you speak to, you're like, I just wish I could speak like them. Like they're just so smooth. And he was amazing. And, you know, I guess what I'm trying to get at is that you're talking a lot about like big names, but also talking about the fan engagement and experience side of things. But as a player,
it was show business.
It was next level, which maybe there were elements of like expectations that we had to sort of rise to. But that's what you want, don't you? You want the best.
But we wanted to be
the
big time. And look, that was my philosophy at Collingwood. That we went from Victoria Park, which was falling apart. You know, the worst facilities with the worst list in 98, 99. You know, finished on the bottom of the ladder, broke, all the rest of it. But what I wanted was for people, rank and file people like me as a kid, who really, I got my identity by barracking for Collingwood and going to watch Victoria play in cricket and all that type of thing, and going to the MCG, watch Australia play, and, you know, taking on the Poms, and, you know, it was really important to me as a little boy going there. It was, right, let's get into it. You know, they were superheroes, Tomo and Lily and Max Walker and, you know, the Chappell brothers and Ian Redpath, who lived in Victoria, and Stacky I just thought was a superhero because his dad played in the premiership for Collingwood. And, you know,
nothing to do with his cricket
the whole thing.
No.
Like, who is this person who opens like a swashbuckler for Australia and for Victoria, and his dad played in the premiership for Collingwood? My God, who are these? Where do these people come from? You know, but for me, they were my childhood superheroes. You know, I wasn't into Superman or Batman or any of that stuff. These guys were everything.
Yeah.
You know, so the cricketers in the summer. You know, Greg Chappell, the first ever colour print front page of the Herald was a poster, probably 75, 76, of Greg Chappell, which was on my wall. These were the superheroes of the time. So when the time came, that's what I wanted kids to have, that they could come and see this. But also, blokes who were sort of middling players or bursting through or making the decision to have a bit of a go. You know, for you, Bobby, to go out and play those great innings for the Stars on national television and be on the back page of the paper the next day and everyone knows who Bobby Quiney is, you know, it was great. That's what it was all about. Yeah. So for me, it was the perfect combination of my love of sport and the traditional values of sport, and then show business as well, and television and everything else that came with it. So that's why I used to get excited about it. I had the added extra that my boys loved it. You know, probably kept me there a bit longer, to be perfectly honest. I didn't get much time off in the summer.
Yeah.
As you know, I didn't go on the interstate trips because it was just easier. That was $100,000 probably.
I don't understand how you did the Stars, let alone anything else.
No, but that was more because I wanted another trainer to go.
Yeah.
If I didn't go, you know, the budgets were pretty tight. It meant we could get more medical staff or whatever. And me going to watch the game in Sydney and sit there having another, you know, piece of rubber chicken and, you know,
and a bottle of red.
And it wasn't going to help you guys. Being down here with the sponsors, making things happen, doing, you know, the MCG
But surely
deals.
there's a bit of family time, like you had to, like,
Yeah,
I mean, your boys are with you. You bring them in the rooms.
No, but that's it. No, my wife, long-suffering Carla, but she was asked once, "Oh, do you ever go skiing or anything?" She said, "No, we're a footy cricket family." and that was it. She knew it. I mean, she was a kid. Her father was president of the local cricket club and opening bowler, and she grew up as a little girl going to cricket matches. And, you know,
whatever makes her three boys happy.
That was it. Yeah, but also we have to stick together. That's why we all used to go as a team. I had to change the rules to get the boys to be able to sit with me at the footy because it was a corporate area and, you know, the
underage
liquor licensing and all that sort of stuff. I'm not drinking. I don't drink at the sporting events or anything.
That's how Warney tried to change the rules about smoking at venues.
But Warney was unreal. I mean, you know, the McCullum ball. I mean, for me, that is one of my greatest highlights because he's got a black armband on, and that was for my father, who died that week.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I spoke to my father was he was 94 and a half, and he knew his time was up. And we had our last goodbyes on the Friday, and I turned up on the Saturday. He sort of said, "What are you doing here? And what do you reckon I'm doing here?" And he said, "What's on today?" I said, "We're playing tonight at the MCG." And he said, "Go on, get on with it.
Yeah.
Go and get on with it."
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I turned up, and my brother was actually with me, and my sister was in the ground. My other sister wasn't there, but as it turned out, we were all there. And so Warnie, the next week, Warnie with the black armband, he bowled. So my father actually died while I was watching the Stars.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, and that's the way he wanted it. So it wasn't that I didn't want to be with him. It was quite the opposite. He didn't want me to be there. He wanted me to be at the doing
Well,
what
you
I was
listen to
doing.
your dad in the last bit. If you're saying to push on, you push on.
Push
don't
on,
you?
yeah, you do.
Talk to us about your relationship with Warnie. Like, was it strong before you got to the Stars?
Yeah, well, I knew him as when he started.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had him on our radio shows and the likes. He was the the pudgy kid from Brighton. I knew him. See, I sort of knew him a bit because he wore 23 because of his love of Dermot.
Yep.
And Dermot was one of my best mates. And he loved
Dermot.
Trevor Barker, who was
Yes.
one of my best mates. So we used to have a golf foursome when I was about 22, 23.
I didn't see you as a golfer.
No, I'm not. I'm hopeless. I'm a member of more golf clubs than games I've played in the last 10 years. I'm the best member you can have. I pay up and don't show up. It's as simple as that. It is ridiculous. But we used to play at Elstonwick, Royal Elstonwick.
Yes.
And the four were Dermot Brereton, Trevor Barker, and Shirley Strawn from Skyhawks, and me. Right now, you got to remember this. Yeah, Dermot and I are the same age. Barks was the biggest star in Australia.
God.
He was God, right? So suddenly, Barks is my mate. I'm going out to nightclubs with him, and Dermot and I are the same age. And Derm grew up in Frankston, I grew up in Broadie at either end of the same railway line. We had the same thing with Irish parents, the whole routine. And we became mates on a State of Origin trip. And then Shirl there was no one bigger in Australia in the 70s than Skyhawks. Do you know Skyhawks? No. Right, okay. Got to go. Good songs.
We'll get you a cassette tape to put in the car.
But mate, all the songs were basically about Melbourne. Greg McCainch was the songwriter and guitarist, and Red Simons was the lead guitarist, and Bongo Starkey was the drummer, and
He was a character too, Shirl, as well.
oh,
wasn't
no,
he?
Shirl was sensational.
Yeah.
And loved his sport, big Hawthorn man. But I remember getting in his powder blue Porsche with ski racks on the back of it at Regine's and Mooney Ponds, and driving to the Chevron with him. And and he parks up on the footpath, and we
I'm here.
get out and parts there. It's like Moses parting the Red Sea. In we go and
How good's
drink
that?
cards. And I'm still living in the Commission House in Broadie, going, how long has this been going on?
Drink cards are the bee's knees, aren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. Well, we'd go and play golf on a Friday, and next day Barks and Dermot would be dominating, and Shirl was there as a superstar, and he had Shirl's Neighbourhood, his own TV show in those days, and I was making my way through the ranks at Channel 10. So it was great. So much of my life and fun has been around it. Back to Warnie. So he was the sort of next generation coming through on all that, and then suddenly he went from being the young bloke to how did that happen? And he never changed. He loved the idea of the Stars. He loved it. He loved being captain. He said, maybe I shouldn't be captain. I said, mate, you're the captain. And he loved it. And he got Chappelli in, and he got KP, and you had him in the dressing room, so you know what he was like there.
But one thing that I guess that resonates with me is both of you, the way you talk. One, you don't sit on your ass and just let things happen. You're innovators and you're doers, and you want to make shit happen. And
Well, Warnie would be ringing me from everywhere
why
around
are we
the
doing
world.
this? Why can't we do this?
Why don't we do this? Why
Yeah.
don't we do that? But also he was his partner at that stage was Liz Hurley, Elizabeth Hurley, and you remember the dinner they put on down there. So they put dinner on at Warnie's house down there, and so you mentioned everyone in cricket was trying to get into it, and they were settling in for the night. And I think I got up at one stage and said, "Righto, everybody, it's been wonderful. Let's give Elizabeth and Shane a big round of applause. Now get up and go down to the pub down the road and get out of here." Kicked everyone out because everyone was settling in. But Elizabeth was wonderful. She was the wonderful hostess, but would turn up and, you look at the old shots of Warnie's kids, Jackson's about this
they're all
big.
together, aren't they?
They're all together, but they were there and they leant into it. So they didn't sort of hide away. No, they were all part of it. So again, the Melbourne Stars, you've literally got a movie star, you've got the superstar, and then you've got everything else going around. It was great times.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when we had Jacko on the last podcast, I reckon it was, we spoke about, I remember going through an airport and, Warnie and Elizabeth were walking through the airport, and there were just cameras.
Yeah.
And, after the old Shield game, there'd be a camera at the carousel maybe every second Shield game, and just to speak to the captain, where this was like there were 3 cameras, 5 photographers all following these people around. So, you'd be speaking with them. You're doing the right thing. You're just conversing as you normally do, and you're walking towards. You get through the X-rays, the scanners, and then you're walking through, and then all of a sudden there's all these, and you're like, how on earth do they put up with all that shit?
But Warnie was the most extraordinary, ordinary bloke you ever meet.
Yes.
And that's what he was.
Yeah.
He just sprinkled magic dust wherever he went.
Yep.
And a wonderful person. But I loved what he did with the Stars, because he really, really put in.
Yeah, he bought in. And from Radisson days as well.
Yeah, but he knew he wasn't there, but he still pulled out some magic. And I reckon the Big Bash became something off the back of that ball. So he might have had the ball of the century against Gadding, but that ball was the one that launched big time Big Bash, and everyone talks about it.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, how many YouTubes have looked at it? That was the moment, and I remember looking at it, and as I said, I was pretty emotional because of what was going on with the black armband. But because I was outside, I didn't hear him say that he was going to call it. I could just watched it happen in front of me, and then everyone said, "Oh, he called it beforehand." And
well, we're all the same. We're running in, and we're thinking we've seen the back of Brendan McCullum. Like that's the bit we were pumped about. And then all of a sudden he goes, "I called that," and we're like, "Oh, good on you, mate." Yeah. And then find out later in the game, and
then
it's
you
like,
watch
no,
it.
he did.
He did. Yeah.
Mate. Circling back to sort of more the Stars.
Yeah.
And from a jovial perspective, you and your presence and your network. Now, we've got some solid names in here that you've been involved with. So you've got Glenn Maxwell, Leslie Malinga. We've got Andy Lee, Kevin Peterson, Luke Wright, Jimmy Faulkner as well.
Yeah.
Now,
Still get texts from Jimmy every
well, I was going to
week.
ask.
Yeah, he drives me mad. It's great. I love him.
He's a
mad
pies
Collingwood
man as
supporter.
well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So-
Beery's texting me as
Beery
well.
would probably hit you up for tickets quite often,
He's,
I reckon.
He's all right. He can. Because they're family.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like the Collingwood boys, the Stars boys are all family.
This is
I
probably.
love them.
This is probably.
That's why I'm not going to pick one.
No. Well, it's more. Were there any of those guys? And I've circled Jimmy Faulkner because he's a beauty, but he'd fall in that category. Would come up and be like, "Hey Ed, any chance you could do this for me?"
Yeah,
oh, Ed,
all of
geez,
them.
I love the way you dress, mate. Jeez, you look good,
mate.
Can you get me into this? Can you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everyone thinks you're ticket tech.
Yeah.
Finals tickets.
So
concerts.
was there anyone within that group?
All of them.
All of them.
No, a lot of them. Some of them.
So Maxwell tick.
No,
Malinga wouldn't have.
No,
'cause
Malinga was
He wouldn't be
great,
able to converse with you really.
but he was
Andy Lee probably didn't have to.
Andy Lee's on his own. He's playing.
KP, but you're happy to
Yeah,
look
but
after KP.
KP was good at that. Yeah.
Lukey Wright would absolutely. He would probably either get the second ticket that KP couldn't fall off.
No, Lukey Wright was just a great play. He was just great. He turned up. Yeah.
Beery, I've got down here. I've added Beery because of you. So Michael Beer would have asked plenty. So did you get him tickets to the last Collingwood Grand Final?
I don't know. I might have. Did I?
I don't know. You
I don't
probably
know.
had 1,000 people come and ring you.
Well, these days I can say I'm not there anymore. So, I don't have any access. I say to people, when they ring up, I go, right, okay, here's the pecking order. Okay, so I've got my family, my friends, people that I want to do business with, the Collingwood members, and then you. Okay,
It's like you were on hold on the phone, and they say you are 21st in line.
Yeah, well, 120,000th at that stage. But no, the guys were good. You'd think that in that situation they would come in and siphon the place for 5 weeks and get out. They actually they took up the vibe, as they say in the castle.
Yep.
And Dennis Denudo, right? But they actually got what we were trying to do, and they realised actually you don't need to, take all the biscuits off. There's more coming. We're actually going to have a lot of fun, and you can just be here. And we did train at the best facilities, and we did get the medical people in, and we did have the most fun.
Accommodation.
Started
Six
Crown,
star,
all that sort of stuff, and we played in front of big crowds. and it was big.
So what's your vision for the next chapter of the Melbourne Stars in 10 years' time?
Well, I don't know. I'm not there anymore.
But let's say, like, because clearly you're staying in touch. So
Yeah.
you're an almanac essentially. You'll read, see things, speak to people.
Well, I
and
probably
you've
could go
also
back
got-
to what we said 15 years ago and implement some of those things.
Well, but is it as simple as that, or is it you got something maybe that's going through your mind?
Again, look, I'm out of it. And when I left, I stepped out. It's the same at Collingwood. I don't go down and...
But that doesn't stop your mind.
No, but I look at
ticking.
it from a different point of view now.
Yep.
For me, why I loved the concept of 2020 Big Bash and being involved in the Stars was it was for all those kids who don't go on holidays,
Yeah.
right? That was me. You know, I used to read about people going to holiday houses and all that sort of stuff. Never heard of it.
Yep.
But we went to every event. So if I was 12, my dad would have taken me to the Stars.
Yep.
And we would have gone and I would have loved it and it would have been the highlight of my week and I would have known every stat, I would have known what every bat was that every player had and what brand of runners they had and everything else that was going, would have been all over it. And I watched that with my blokes who have a different upbringing than what I had,
Yep.
but they were just all in. And, you know, within 2 weeks, suddenly I had to get 3 cars to take all their mates to the game.
Yeah, yeah.
And you remember what it was like in the
Yeah.
rooms. I'd walk in and it was, you know, it was like, you know,
Those young boys that just walk through. It's like a team of
the
boys that
team
just
of
come
boys
through.
that come in all again and they're all like this, looking at, you know, everybody and standing in the corner. And, you know, within 10 minutes, once it loosened up, they're suddenly, you know, borrowing somebody's bat. You know, they've got KP's bat.
They'd always go to like KP's bat or Maxi's bats, the bag, and they're both really like,
just look at 'em.
happy to, and they're like, look at this, and then they're still enough to pick it up that, and then they look at the size of the bat and they go, oh, how do I get me one of these? Like, this
They're
is
looking
ridiculous.
at it, and photos and things. But the thing I loved about it was that it wasn't just straight into the rooms. Everyone stayed out for the best part of 45 minutes. So it wasn't just, you know, the president's kids who were getting a run at this. It was everybody. And we
No,
were
the family and stuff. coming
everybody,
through, yeah.
but everyone outside. We went around the whole MCG, stayed out, did as much as we could, and I love that. I love that community aspect of it, and so in a lot of ways, it probably encapsulated my total being as a kid who used to be very much standing up. You know, a seat at
you're on
the
the
footy. What was
the old
that?
VB cans you're standing on, aren't you?
Yeah. And my dad used to he used to bring a lump of wood to put on top of it so the cans wouldn't cut into my feet.
Imagine trying to get through security at the MCG with a lump of wood.
It was pretty handy on the Broadmeadows train on the way home too.
What about the time that Usain Bolt? I think we're nearly going to wrap it up.
Yeah,
but Usain Bolt came. Like, where did that spark from?
Well, if you remember the first year, it was a circus.
Yep.
And, you know, there were all sorts of things going on. So I was getting ready to host the Olympic Games and Maury Plant, the great Maury Plant, was involved as well. So I knew that Usain Bolt wanted to, it was a cricketer.
Yep.
So I thought, let's see if we get Usain Bolt.
Why not?
You know, why not? And he was up for it.
Yep.
And ended up playing soccer at one stage. It didn't get there. But, yeah, but it was interesting when I spoke to him. I said, why did you go to athletics and not cricket? I said, you clearly got the right build for a West Indian fast bowler.
Yeah.
And his dad stopped him playing cricket. He said, it's too political. He
Well,
said,
it is
it's too
there,
political,
isn't it?
and over there especially. But he said, you know, you might be the best player, but they're going to pick somebody else. He said, you run, you get there first, you win.
It makes sense. It keeps it simple, doesn't it?
That's from the lips of Usain Bolt. There's no interpretation.
Love it.
That's what he said, quote unquote. We're having dinner with him with my wife Carla, and she just, because she'd been watching all the political machinations that happen around me and Collingwood and Stars.
Well, it would be never ending, yeah.
Well, it's never ending, and so sometimes the whole thing, just because you've got the best idea in the room doesn't mean you're going to win the day.
Yeah.
But so Bolt did that. So so there was all that circus, and then he leant into it, and of course I wound it up like a top, and
Which you're very good at. Do you know what? And before I get there, and this is really random, I think we did something at Dick Smith one day, and myself, Clint McKay, and John Hastings were there as an appearance, and then we're all waiting on Eddie. Eddie lobbed in, and it was just to talk and to build up Dick Smith, I think it was at the time, and I remember like talking to him, going, "Have you got prepared?" He goes, "No, look, we're good to go. I'm just going to talk about it." And I'm like, "What's going on with these blood? You cannot just lob up." And sure enough, he he reels off all the people that are working there, that are people that are here, and then becomes the Don King and goes, I'm not only promoting the Melbourne Stars, I'm promoting Dick Smith and I'm promoting the game. And you're like, how the hell do you do this shit time and time again? It's ridiculous.
Well,
Like, you've got a skill.
But you've got the enthusiasm for it. Yeah, probably got it.
Someone could have enthusiasm, but how to articulate that at the same time? It's
The
pretty
Dick
tough.
Smith one was a good one. You jogged my memory on because Dick Smith went under while they were our sponsors. And I was overseas and John Wiley was overseas in completely different time zones. I think I was in Europe and he was in, I think he might have been up in Canada or something. He was out on, like he could have been in Siberia or it could have been in, Alaska or somewhere. He was out in the middle of nowhere. And we did a phone hookup. And by the next morning, we had a new sponsor at twice the money. And that was where it was at, because we had, and David Evans was involved at the other end, and Clint Cooper was doing a great job. And I remember the Cricket Victoria rang the next day, all hands in the air. Oh, what are we going to do about Dick Smith? I said, don't worry.
It's fixed.
I said, and you guys turned up the next day and the stickers went on.
You just get the stickers on.
Yeah, Optus was on there, stuck on, and away we went. So there were good. It wasn't just me. There were so many great people. But you look at it, people like John Wiley. Imagine having his horsepower involved and
David as well.
And committed. No, and I was going to say, and David Evans.
Yeah.
So we had a really good group of people around the place.
I think we were really lucky to have the people obviously in the background, and not just you, like the support
and
staff.
Sherelle McMahon was there as
Sherelle
well.
was there, and
She
Flem.
was great. Damien Fleming was there. So I forgot to mention Damien. So Damien was there as well, picking the side. So you had Damien Fleming, Ian Chappell, Shane Warne, etc., and Greg Shippert was the coach. And Ship was a great coach.
Yep.
So that side of things. It was a bit like when I was at Collingwood. The first time I ever slept was when Greg Swan was the CEO. Literally 18 months in, I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like this every
I've
morning.
got stuff to do. What's going on?
Trying to figure it all out. And Swanee said to me, right, I've got to the bottom of the finances. I said, how bad is it? He said, horrendous. I said, but we know there's no more. He said, no, we got to the bottom of it. And I remember Mick Malthouse the first day he came in and spoke to the players. I said, no, I don't have to worry about the team.
How good's that?
And away I go, and I'll go and do what I do.
So you slept till 4:30 at least.
Yeah, well, no, literally the next day I slept through for the first time in 18 months in a row. I woke up every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting up, bulking
That's
up right in
extraordinary.
bed.
I don't know
And
how
I
you
get
do
up
it.
and go into the room next door, write it all down, and then come back in and.
It's a good way to do it. Ed, we finish every segment with 3 questions.
Yes.
And this is called Let's Get Real. And this is brought to you by Dodo, the real deal for internet and mobile. To check out more, head to dodo.com.au. I'm going to reorder these questions that Benny's organised for me. Now, the Melbourne Derby had 68,000 people attend this year, and they've had 80,000 in a previous time. Do you see those numbers happening again in the ensuing seasons?
Yeah, it can, because these things ebb and flow. Got to get the timing right on it, and got to get the promotion right. People, it's the rhythm of life. People get to Christmas Day and they're cooked. And then you've got New Year. So I think those 2 weeks before the tennis comes on, are really prime
It's
time.
that little window, isn't it?
Yeah, and people not everyone's on holidays till Australia Day. There's a lot of people who are actually, at home. I want to do some things. So you've got to get that clear air. And you've got, I'm very big on thinking about making life easy for people. If you've got a decision, do we go or don't we go? If it's made easy for you, then you'll go.
We've mentioned some massive names that you had involved with the Stars. Is there someone in the world that you really wanted to bring?
Even like past, like even sort of, you reckon someone like older, like from the 70s?
Yeah, anyone going through your mind in that initial era?
I'm just trying to think the international players, because there were, because I was lobbying at times when they started stealing all our players, ridiculously to play, not even play. You got to go and be on the team bus in Tasmania, and then we're not going to play and all that routine. I said to them, well, if you take 4 of my batsmen or 4 of my bowlers, allow me to go get 1 international player. Yeah, and I actually said to them at one stage, if I can go and get Tendulkar, I'll fill this ground 5 times. I said, just for 1 game. If we get him to come and play in the grand final, right? You've taken 3 or 4 of my best batsmen. Let me go get one. Let me go get Sachin Tendulkar and have him playing as our batsman and Warney as our bowler, and said, and let's see how many people. I said, we'll have to put screens out in the park. It'll be the biggest cricket match in the history of Australia in one night on a 2020 Big Bash night. Yeah,
I think right now, even
and he
any
was
Indian
retired
player-
by that stage.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Indian,
Dhoni, Kohli.
but in that stage, we weren't allowed to get into the Indian players. But he was retired. We could have gone and got him. Anyway,
Trick missed. Just a lot of tricks missed by the sound of it.
It was great, but yeah, but I was probably it's easy for me to say because I was one out. So I come in with 10 ideas and all that sort of thing. They're trying to run a competition.
Yeah. So 8 or 9 years, I think you were president and your time in the Stars. Do you have a favourite moment? Do you have memorable moments that really stick with you?
Look, walking into the MCG when we got the 87,000. Yeah, that was mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And Steve Goff came over to me and said, well,
You're right.
well done. No, congratulations.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's not just me, it's everybody.
Yeah. I think we are very lucky that when I say we as a player, that we had the calibre of the board that we had through that time. And it's just a bloody shame that, as you said, we probably could have had 2 titles, if not more, through that time.
Yeah.
But
anyway, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
mate,
But we invented something. We did something. That hadn't been done
100%.
before. It was great.
The impact that you had on the Stars in that time.
We did it all together.
Yeah, but
it
I'm
was
saying
so
you,
much. It was so much fun. Hey, don't accuse me of false modesty. Okay,
Bobby
that's never been an issue.
Bobby wants redemption for his intro. He wants an outro.
Exactly.
Well,
he wants to
this,
clear.
this podcast is about you.
Oh, okay.
Right? We've got you on. And
Well, what are you blokes doing?
And
I
you
can
should
interview myself.
Yeah. There's 3 cameras on you only.
That's it.
So.
Thank you. Just the way I like it.
But innovation, your wealth of knowledge, and the one thing that stood out from the very start of this podcast, which was a no-brainer for everyone, is your passion and enthusiasm. So that you brought to the Stars,
right.
the impact you had with the Stars is phenomenal, and the impact you still have in sporting circles now is phenomenal.
Mate,
So
it's all about. This is my philosophy in all sports. For the competitor, you must give them the best opportunity to achieve their ambitions. You have to get in the right medical facilities to prolong their career as long as possible. Right? So Scott Pendlebury, to me, is the crowning moment on all the money we put into leaving Victoria Park to go to what was the Lexus Centre in the early days. So you do that and you give those people who come into your orbit and you ask them to play and play injured at times. And I don't say sacrifice, invest in their own career.
Yep.
By not doing things, but investing in their career so that they get the best possible opportunity, and we bask in their reflective glory of their unbelievable sporting and mental prowess. Similarly, at the same time, not to the side, at the same time, you have to look into that crowd and see the wonderment in kids' eyes, and you have to see the pride in older eyes, and you have to see in the oldest eyes that they think that this is the great day, that the best day of watching the Melbourne Stars or your footy team, in my case Collingwood, haven't come and gone, that there's going to be better tomorrow, and that you can talk about how your grandfather took you to the grand final as you look down at your own grandkids. And you can do that. People can do that now. They can sit in their reserve seat at the mighty MCG, that just amazing citadel and heartbeat of our city, and you can sit there and you can have the memories going back. I was lucky enough. I met the guys who won the 4 in a row for Collingwood.
Yep.
Harry Collier, Percy Bowyer, Bruce Andrews, these guys. And, they died. We go to the funeral. And then you go, wow, hang on a second. They knew. They were coached by Jock McHale. And
it goes further.
They go back to the first game.
Yeah.
Lou Richards' grandfather played in the first game for Collingwood.
Yep.
Lou was a hero. And you go, wow. Ed Richards is still running around for the Dogs.
Yeah.
So I love all that. I love that there's the 2 degrees of separation of sport in Melbourne. And everyone, we get in there, belt the hell out of each other, but we're all pals because the game is more important than anything and what it does for our community. And particularly, I think at the moment, right now, sport has never been more important in Melbourne than what it is.
Yep,
it brings
agreed.
all the joy, all the fun, whether it's big-time international, NFL, Grand Prix, Australian Open tennis, or 2020 Big Bash, AFL. And I say that not that they're huge and they're not. They're huge and they're huge. They're just local huge, And they're international.
International,
games.
yeah.
We've got the combination of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, how good is it that Oscar Piastri played footy against my boys?
Yeah.
You know, it's you got Oscar.
2 degrees of separation you're talking about.
Yeah, Oscar's doing great things. He comes over to me and says, how's Joe and Xander going? I think he played for the Brighton Vampires or something, one of those teams down there, and my boys were playing at Paran. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. And as I said, he's very articulate. He speaks so well. But, mate, honestly, thank you for being on this podcast.
My pleasure.
And thank you for the work you did for the Melbourne Stars as well, because everyone's very appreciative of that.
It was absolutely a labour of love. And I must say, in all sincerity, and I'm not trying to be obsequious, but I got more out of being the chairman and getting to know everybody and being involved in such a exciting project than you ever put in. So if we're square, then I'm very happy, but I walk away, as I did from Collingwood, feeling like I got more out of it than anybody else.
Love it. Well, everyone's appreciative, and thanks for your
mate.
time.
Thanks, Ed.
Beauty.
Cheers.
3 cheers for us. Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip,
Yoo!
hip. Sing the song.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed.
See you guys.